Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand deadline day, and Marcel Sabitzer is the midfielder that are on the cards for Manchester United, despite Erik ten Hag's press conference where he seemed quite reluctant that Manchester United would be bringing anyone in at the end of the window. Manchester United are in talks to sign Marcel Sabitzer on loan from Bayern Munich on deadline day. Massively need a midfield player, especially after what's happened with Eriksen's injury. If you didn't know by now, which I think you should know, Eriksen is out until late April, early May, but there's many different sources on deadline day reporting Manchester United in for Sabitzer. I think it would be a great signing on deadline day, if I'm being honest, especially in the position that we're in. So let's bring all the quotes to you guys and get in the comments down below as well if you would want Marcel Sabitzer on loan, or potentially we might have to buy him because Chelsea are creeping into the conversation as well. Don't want Chelsea to steal yet another signing this window, but it could happen. There's going to be a crazy few hours on deadline day, which is really good as well. On deadline day, you want these hours where you're not sure whether you're going to buy the player, what's going to happen, and Sabitzer could be a United player by the end of tonight. Let's hope he is. But it's coming from CF Bayern, and Christian Folk is saying Marcel Sabitzer is on the verge of signing for Manchester United. This escalated very, very quickly, it really did. And Fabrizio Romano also is been talking on Marcel Sabitzer, saying that Marcel Sabitzer wants to leave, and Manchester United now pushing talks with Bayern. Discussions on the deal are ongoing, and also Manchester United have approached Bayern Munich for Marcel Sabitzer. At the moment, Chelsea are focusing on other targets as of now. So if Manchester United want to get this deal done, they need to get it done quickly. But I'm also joined with Charlie Morley, and we've also got Adam as well on the standing set over there, who we're going to get his opinion as well, and also live updates as we go through, because this story can change at any time. So we're going to be getting live updates from him as well. But first, Charlie, I'll come to you on this.
Yeah.
It's been put out there by a lot of sources as well. Telegraph reporting that Manchester United will try and sign a midfielder on loan before the end of the transfer window. Contacts are now being held with Marcel Sabitzer, and he didn't train today with Bayern Munich. He wants the move. What do you think of Sabitzer? Do you think it'd be a good signing for United? Anything's better than nothing at this point, right?
Indeed, yes. Anything is better than nothing, especially, I mean, look, Eriksen is out for a number of weeks, as you mentioned. It was important that another body was brought in, I think, regardless of Eriksen's injury, actually, because Donny's out. Now it's maybe pivoted in a little different direction in terms of quite exactly what player we do need, and I did actually do a video a couple of days ago kind of highlighting what positions I thought that kind of pros and cons for midfielders, attackers, and I actually said that a midfielder needs to probably be brought in who was versatile in the sense that can play multiple roles and can fill multiple positions, and that is exactly what Sabitzer can do. He's played as a holding midfielder, he's played as an 8, he can play as a 10. He's not a master at any of them. He's more of a trick of all trades, which Adam isn't a fan of. But no, look, he's a lot better than nothing, as you say.
I've got to say, and I'm usually quite positive, aren't I? But I'm really positive around this signing. If anyone watched the show yesterday that was on with Romano in the morning show, I was quite down, I was quite negative, because it just seemed like we were going to bring absolutely nobody in, and I think it was crucial that we did, even without Eriksen getting injured. I mean, we heard today that McTominay's injured, Eriksen's injured until late April, May. Realistically, we've got 3 games a week, well, a game every 3.5 days, and we've only got 3 midfielders fit. It's just not good enough. We had to do something, and to be honest with you, out of all the options that we've been looking at, I think Sabitzer is a good option to have. He can play multiple different positions, but he's played them well. I watched him quite a lot when he was at Leipzig, and like we were speaking before about, he's not been getting too many games for Bayern Munich, but he's still been playing. And if you look at the midfield options that Bayern Munich have, I mean, Kimmich, Goretzka. I always get confused saying his name. Goretzka, Kimmich, they've got some really good options in there, and we actually can confirm as well, coming from Miguel Delaney, that Bayern Munich were reluctant to allow Manchester United a loan deal for Ryan Gravenberch. I know a lot of you guys wanted Gravenberch. I was one of them as well. Previously worked under Ten Hag at Ajax, but they said no to that one. So they are actually open to letting Sabitzer go, though. That has been reported as well. So it seems like we kind of went in looking for a midfielder. Gravenberch they said no to, but Sabitzer is on the table. And with Chelsea potentially missing out on Enzo Fernandez as well, and Casado, they're looking at Sabitzer as well. But at the moment, Chelsea is still working on the deals. We have to move fast if we want to get this done. And Sabitzer wants the move. Bayern Munich are open to letting him go. Sky Sports have just been on saying the phone is ringing at Bayern Munich. Chelsea and Manchester United trying to get this deal over the line. Let's hope we can do it. But getting your thoughts down below, I'll read some comments out in a second. Do you like this signing of Sabitzer? I think he genuinely has looked decent the times I've watched him. Austrian national player, can play in the midfield, in any of the midfield three positions, which is really important for the kind of squad depth we need. And again, he's played 15 out of the 18 games in the league for Bayern this season. And we were saying before, that is not too shabby when you look at the midfield options that Bayern Munich have. 7 starts in the league, which, I mean, he's coming off the bench more often than not. He wants more minutes, but I like that. I like the ambition. Again, he's starting Champions League games, 3 Champions League started. And yeah, he's got a goal, he's got an assist, not played too many minutes. His XG is 2.59, so he's getting goal scoring opportunities. He looks like a tidy midfield player, and we'll get into a few more stats in a second, but I do want to bring Adam into the show. Adam, I really like Sabitzer, and you want to get positive around something, but you expected a desperation signing. Sabitzer is a quality player that has played in the Champions League. He plays for his national team. He's secure, 27 years old, got some experience behind him. But like you said, you don't really like the jack of all trades. What are you thinking about this?
Yeah, I mean, jack of all trades in a normal structured transfer window is one thing. And Manchester United on deadline day is a completely different other. And obviously, we got the news this morning regarding Christian Eriksen. I think that's what we are looking at here now, and that's why the situation has come about where we're looking at Marcel Sabitzer. This deal works for Bayern in a loan sort of setup. We're just looking at what Sky Germany have said here. United are waiting on Bayern to decide if they will do business. United's preference is a loan. That would work for Bayern, as he has still got 2.5 years left on his contract, and obviously then would go back. Like you've already alluded to, they have got Goretzka, they have got Kimmich in their midfield. I was just speaking to Ricky, funnily enough, before we came on air, and he was going on about what Paul Merson was saying. I mean, Paul Merson's knowledge of German football is very little. We know that from when Ralf Rangnick came in and the disrespect that he showed him and what he has done, and a lot of good managers have worked off in terms of his scrapbook. But Sabitzer for United, getting into the nitty-gritty of it, like you said, United are 100% in for Sabitzer. I was there at the press conference earlier where Ten Hag was talking, and he was pretty downbeat about what had happened. Obviously, we got the news about Christian Eriksen and him being out now for more than 3 months, going into the back end of April it was. He didn't look like a man that was too impressed with the situation. You could tell that there was a fear sort of and a worry in Ten Hag's eyes and the way he was talking. He then said it didn't look like there was going to be any more deals coming in. He was quizzed by all the journalists on this, and was also quizzed as to if you could get a deal done, would you still push the board to actually make that happen? It does look like this has happened now with Sabitzer. It's a surprise. It's come to a surprise to all of us because we thought we were done and dusted. Charlie alluded to the fact that Sabitzer is very, very versatile. In fact, the guy played in 8 different positions last season, including left and right wing, left and right back, as well as all central midfield roles. He is very versatile, which, if you are lacking in numbers for your whole squad, probably suits us best. And to answer Beth's question regarding, I don't like jack of all trades, I'd probably take a master of one. Beggars can't be choosers on the last day of a January transfer window, and the way Manchester United is run has left us in this position now where we are looking for anyone that can just help us in terms of experience, numbers, and like you said, Beth, it is a guy there who is experienced at the highest level, both international and club. He's used to winning things with Bayern. He's playing with good quality players, so slotting into a midfield that might have a Bruno Fernandes or a Casemiro in there, if you want to fit him in one of them roles, I can see how this works. So for me, and my look on transfers in terms of how it's better to have one player that suits that role, that master of that role, rather than someone who can just do multiple jobs. You have to sort of, you have to take it back a little bit and go, we actually need this player. We need that number in that midfield, because even Ten Hag talking in the press conference about what the capabilities are of someone replacing Eriksen with the players we've already got, they haven't got it. And Ten Hag even admitted that you haven't got that killer pass. You haven't got that player that can actually just open up the doors of Eriksen. Is Sabitzer that? No, he's not. But what Sabitzer is someone that could probably help us play in a different setup, maybe play in a different type of midfield or formation. And for me, I think right now the position that United are in, we have to go for this. But Beth, this does come down to what Chelsea do in terms of Enzo Fernandez. That jet is still sat outside and waiting in Portugal, outside Benfica, for Enzo Fernandez. This could still happen, and it all comes down to what Chelsea muscle in and how much they flex as well.
Yeah, we've actually just had some news coming in there. Bild are saying that Sabitzer to Manchester United is imminent, and we've also got some news from Sky as well saying that Sabitzer prefers Manchester United to Chelsea. I mean, who wouldn't? 10th in the Premier League versus joint 4th, joint 3rd? Whatever way you want to look at it.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Who wouldn't prefer Manchester United right now? I'm working under Erik ten Hag as well, who is known in the Bundesliga. He's known in world football. No disrespect to Graham Potter, but he isn't really that kind of name yet in comparison to Erik ten Hag. And yeah, Chelsea have gone out and thrown a lot of money at this transfer window. But right now, when you're looking at a team and you're looking at ambition and you're looking at winning things, Manchester United are further ahead, so I can understand why the player wants to go. I mean, you could see on the screen before then, Romano also saying Marcel Sabitzer is pushing for the move. He prefers Manchester United, and now Bild are also coming in, another reliable source, saying that Sabitzer to Manchester United is imminent. So, I mean, there's a lot to get excited about here. Deadline day, we could have a good signing on our hands. And as Adam said as well, he can play in various positions. You need to rest Bruno, which at some point you will. Sabitzer can play as a cam. At Leipzig, I saw him play as a cam very, very well. I mean, Eriksen, the way he does them tidy passes and kind of links the defence to the attack, Sabitzer can do that too. He's a great box-to-box midfielder. Not so much defensive players from what I've seen, but Casemiro, we know what his strengths are. How many games did he play, Adam, for Real Madrid last year, Casemiro? You know that one, don't you?
65 games in total.
65 games in total. He is, touch wood, very injury-proof, and so is Bruno Fernandes. So bringing Sabitzer in to rotate with Bruno, Fred, and as well with McTominay being injured, I think for the end of the season on a 6-month loan, it's good depth to have. But do you see this deal happening now with all the reports coming out, Charlie?
I'd like to say so, yes, but you just never know with Chelsea in this market. You never know, they might pull something out the hat and just go, chuck all the money in the world. But if what was reported earlier in the sense they're kind of working or focusing on other deals, then maybe while they're doing that and Sabitzer's on the back burner, that's when United can come in. But I think as well, there is that attractiveness, not only in terms of position in the league, but in terms of the way we're playing and the players that we do have. You Casemiro's, Varane's, like who wouldn't want to play? Even Rashford at the minute. Rashford's on fine form. These are players that you want to go and play football with, and they're only you're going to be thinking about it. You're playing at Old Trafford, the atmosphere. Even if you look at it completely off topic from a football standpoint, the social following and social platform that you gain from moving to a club like Manchester United, he'll gain hundreds of thousands of followers on Twitter, on social media, Instagram, everything. So there's so many positives for moving.
Yeah, I think it's... I honestly, I remember thinking, and this is why I'm so shocked that this deal might be happening, despite it being desperate, I remember thinking in the past, when Sabitzer signed for Bayern, that's a good move. Sabitzer was good at Leipzig. Them Champions League games where obviously we played Leipzig in the Champions League, we beat them 5-2, but I think then they beat us on the second leg. I can't remember what it was, but Sabitzer looked good, and Kunku's another one that I've looked at Leipzig and looks good in the past. Sabitzer's always been one of them names that sticks out, and I've always looked at him and thought he'd be quite a good signing. So to get him on deadline day, to fill in for the rest of the season, credit where credit's due. If this deal comes off, I would be happy about it. But people might have different opinions in the chats. Get your comments in down below. I see people talking about Tielemans. I personally would prefer Sabitzer to Tielemans, and I'm generally not just saying that. But I mean, people have different opinions. We've got some super chats in as well that I will read out. Tony United says, "Good luck, Beth and Charlie and Adam. How soon would he be able to play for us if we sign him? I assume he would be able to play for us at the weekend, wouldn't he? Crystal Palace at the weekend he'd be able to play, because you're getting registered before midday on the Friday.
He has to be registered today to beat the deadline, so he will be available for Crystal Palace at weekend.
Okay, so he has to sign today to be available for Palace. So if he signs today, Palace, he'll be on, and if not, it'll be the next game after that. But he'll be able to come in quite quickly, I'm sure. The speed of this transfer is, I mean, he's got to be speedy because it's deadline day. But
0 to 100, literally,
Man United
right?
usually operate at a snail's pace, so it's interesting to see that how this is working. And Don Z says Sabitzer was in the first games one of the best Bayern players, but Goretzka got after him when he came back from an injury. A free pass from Nagelsmann, bad managing. Interesting, because I've not watched much of Bayern this season, I have to say. I've only really seen them in the Champions League, so I've not been able to see much of Sabitzer this season as I have in previous sort of games in the Champions League for Leipzig. But interesting take to see someone say that he's been playing really well. Adam, did you want to bring something in?
Yeah, also on Sabitzer is the fact that the German national break has come after the World Cup that he did not compete in. This is a man that is fully rested for nearly 2 months now, ready to come into a busy fixture pile-up. The fact that he did
Extremely good point.
The fact that he did not actually participate in Bayern's training this morning says that this deal was probably on the cards and being talked about before Ten Hag entered the press conference this morning when he spoke to us. So I feel like this deal now, with him not training this morning, for him not to be training, word must have already been said, the options must have been put to him, and from what we're hearing so far going around is his preferred choice would be to come to Manchester United because he would be guaranteed playing time at Manchester United with the situation we've got with our midfield right now. So that's where we're at with Sabitzer right now, where everyone from Alex Crook to Sky Sports, Damesh have all been saying exactly the same thing. Manchester United are the front runners right now. They just need to get this deal done quickly. The German transfer window shuts at 4 o'clock, but that is for incomings only. So this deal can get done very, very quickly. Like the Enzo Fernandez deal, if that went for Chelsea, the medical would be done over in Germany, like it would have with Enzo in Portugal, and then he would have been flown over privately, and you would have been looking at the rest of the contract being signed and registered with the Premier League just before the window shuts. That's where we are right now with everything, according to all the talks on transfer deadline day with anyone in the know.
Yeah, exactly. And as well, like, just a few more attributes. He's an engine, he can play with both feet, he's a good free kick taker, he's technically quite good. I mean, there's a lot to like about this. I do think, as far as an Eriksen replacement goes, he is ticking a lot of boxes on that. And Eriksen's going to be injured for a while. We need someone to come in. I mean, people are talking Fred can do a job. 100% he can do a job. But we need some depth there. And this is really, really good depth to have. He is a first-team player. And do you know what's really kind of nice to hear? That he prefers United over Chelsea. Chelsea are probably going to offer like a very good deal on this if they are going for him. And we've seen Arsenal league leaders miss out to Chelsea, who are 10th. But United has that extra bit of pull. I feel like maybe that's me just being a little bit biased in this case. But Joshua Bowater says, hope there's an option to buy with this loan. I mean, it'd be good if there was, because if he does end up doing well, which I think he has the capability to do, it could be a good signing to increase the depth in that midfield. Mojo says, Sabitzer happens and Martial Sancho return from injury. Suddenly this day looks a lot better. It is. You've got to stay positive, keep looking up, and Martial and Sancho being back is a massive, massive bonus as well. But missing the midfield, that's what we need. Forward line, we're not stacked, but we've got some good options now. But in the midfield, we need it to happen. And Kanishka says, Wikipedia shows the deal is done. Is this Manchester United? I mean, I'm sure that's just kind of someone going on and hacking Wikipedia, getting a bit excited. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
You can edit Wikipedia pages just quite easily, so yeah.
Yeah, that won't be Man United. They'll be spending time trying to get this deal done. I think it'll be maybe a fan that's a little bit excited doing that. Don't take any notice of Wikipedia is what I would say. And Aram Heckmat says, still won't be surprised for United to mess this up. Gakpo, Haaland, Sancho would have been closer to deals and messed them up before. No faith. Bit of negativity there, Aram. I get where you're coming from because we have kind of let deals slip before. We've done it multiple times and it does hurt every time it happens. But on deadline day, where we're desperately in need of a midfielder, and this does seem to be escalating quite quickly, extremely reliable sources coming out. I mean, Bild, Romano, Christian Folk, Telegraph, Sky, just to name a few, all reporting the same thing. There's this is definitely happening. I feel like the talks are definitely ongoing. Whether an agreement can be reached, I hope it can. But I would say I don't want to say get your hopes up, but I've got my hopes up, and thanks as well for your super chat. We've messed deals up before, but deadline day when we're desperate, and it's only Chelsea in competition. I think we can get this one done. Adam, come to you on this.
Yeah, Chris Wheeler has just tweeted out as well. This is like the biggest giveaway of any transfer ever happening. There is no comment from Manchester United right now on this deal going forward. They are open. They're still keeping their options open and will work till the end of the window, but TalkSport have just confirmed that United are in talks. Sky have confirmed that Sabitzer's preferred choice is Manchester United. This deal does look like it's happening, and there's only one reason this would not happen right now, and that's Manchester United. We can make this deal done. Bayern are open to talking with Manchester United. They would prefer the loan deal without the buy option at the end of the season because he still has 2.5 years, and obviously they would like to have their options fully open in the summer window. But yes, Bayern don't seem to need Sabitzer for the rest of the season. They're happy with what they've got, and Sabitzer is available. Manchester United can make this happen if they move very, very quickly, or before any deal gets completely quashed with Enzo Fernandez, and Chelsea would happily come in and sabotage this deal.
I don't think they're going to. I think we are going to get this over the line. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I do this all the time. But
Hey.
Adam, thanks for that update. It's a really good update, actually. And that is, like you said, a big giveaway that United aren't commenting on it. They're going to be working to get this deal done. He hasn't trained. It's confirmed by very good sources that United is his preferred destination. All we need to do now is Bayern are willing to let him go on loan. And it'd be good for him to get first-team football in the Premier League as well. If you think about it, 2 years left in his contract at Bayern, Nagelsmann preferring other options at the moment. How great would it be for them to get him out playing football with the likes of Casemiro and Bruno at the highest level in the world, which is the Premier League? So I think it works for all parties. It's just about getting a fee in place. And we know the money's tight, Charlie, but do you think that a fee can be agreed? A loan, surely. This can happen.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously a different player to Weghorst, but he's quite clearly a better player than Weghorst. So then what was the loan fee? Was it 3 million for
Yeah,
Weghorst?
3 million for
So
Weghorst.
you'd probably be saying that the loan fee's going to be more than that. I don't know exactly what Sabitzer's on a week at Bayern. But, I mean, as you say, it's probably a win-win for both parties, the fact that he does come in for the 6-month period. And look, I'm going to be honest, like, you know, and I've seen a lot of your guys' comments saying, I hope there is a buy option. I think there is better options out there long term. Like, I don't think personally, I think it'd be great for these 6 months, but long term, I'm not really too interested, in all honesty.
Well, if you think about it, like Sabitzer or, you know, Enzo, Bellingham, De Jong, it's always going to be them options. But for right now, and people weren't too excited about Eriksen at first. And you know what? No. He's been brilliant. He's been that stable midfielder, hasn't he?
Yeah, and as I say, it works for Bayern as well because he's not getting as much game time, and he can go and play in. You know, it's the Premier League we're talking about here, isn't it? Manchester United.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Yeah, we can obviously utilise him, and yeah, we're in desperate need of a player. And I'll be honest, he's a much better option than what I thought we were going to be linked to.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
Like I saw tweets going around, like, you know, players in South Asia and Russia are expecting a call from Man United tonight after the 35th birthday. Do you know what I mean? Like that is the route we've gone down in the past. Sabitzer is still 27. He's still got an engine. He's kind of in that area of his career where he's hit a little bit of a stagnated sort of Bayern, but he still played super well according to a lot of you guys at the start of the season. He's still getting minutes. He had a really good spell at Leipzig. He's an international player. He is a good player, so he's looking bright, especially for a loan till the end of the season, 100%. And you can see his stats on the screen there as well for you this season. Obviously not the best stats, but he's not played that many minutes, and it's hard when you're not starting, isn't it? Coming off the bench and kind of making that.
It makes it more difficult.
It makes it a lot more difficult. I think at United he would have a lot more game time and have time to kind of definitely make an impact better than that. But I think he's definitely got talent he can give to this team. A few more super chats. Thank you guys for getting him in. I think everyone's excited about this deal, and as we should be. I mean, we were celebrating Weghorst, we'll celebrate Sabitzer. Is it the transfer window we would dream of? Absolutely not. But Are they stopgaps for the end of the season that we need? Yes, and that's the point we're at the moment, especially with the sale of the club. I'm not saying it's right, but it's what's happening, and we've just got to kind of push through and deal with it. But Sabitzer, I'm more excited about Sabitzer than I was about Weghorst, if I'm being honest. I quite like this player. And Stephen Ross J says, Sabitzer would be a positive move, but it infuriates me that deals like this could not be done earlier in the window. Yep, we should have, shouldn't we? We should have been doing that earlier.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree, but you know, if we were to go for, you know, Sabitzer might not have even been a name mentioned. You know,
I think we went for Gravenberch,
so, you know,
and then they said no Sabitzer.
Yeah,
probably.
so you know, it's beggars can't be choosers, as Adam said. You know, there would have been probably, I'm not going to lie, hundreds of names floated about. Some would have meant a lot more than others. Some would have just been passing comments. So yeah, we're just at this point of the transfer window now where he's a lot better than what we'd expect, because yes, stereotypically we'd be going out there and getting that 30-plus-year-old midfielder, probably even like 32, 33-plus-year-old midfielder that probably is way past it. But we're actually getting an experienced, half-decent midfielder in Sabitzer, it looks like.
Yeah, 100%. And Prince Vorignis, don't know if I said that right, but thanks for Super Chat. Bayern usually don't let players go that simply. I'm worried if he's injury prone or past it now. And on that point, I just wanted to bring up, as Adam was talking before about Paul Merson and what he was saying, and saying it's a panic signing because obviously Eriksen's injured. He doesn't even get into Bayern starting 11, so why would he get into Manchester United? A few things first on this. Yes, it is a panic signing, 100% it is. Doesn't mean it can't be still good. If you look at it at Bayern Munich's midfield, depth-wise, it's better than ours. Depth-wise. Kimmich, Goretzka, I mean, you've got Gravenberch as well, who's kind of young and still coming into his own there. They've got multiple players in that midfield that take up some really important spots that are trusted by Nagelsmann. It doesn't mean Sabitzer isn't a good player. I mean, when you look at us, right now we've literally got 3 first-teamers in Eriksen, Bruno and Casemiro, and then 2 squad players in Fred and McTominay. Fred obviously a bit more so than McTominay at the moment.
I mean, Sabitzer offers a complete,
he offers something different, doesn't he?
You know, Fred, for what it's worth, Fred has been pretty good under Erik ten Hag as of late, but he won't be able to come in and look, a lot of people are going to be confident in Fred stepping in, and I'm not necessarily against that, but when you ask him to do what Eriksen does, he's not going to be able to do that.
No,
creative wise,
yeah.
So that is why another body is needed who can then do that and can do a little bit of what Fred offers as well. But Fred is going to be able to do things that Sabitzer isn't in terms of the tenacity and everything. So hopefully the main thing is that it's just another body that we then are able to rotate and make everything. You know, because we're in 4 competitions still. We want to win 1.
Exactly. It's like having different dynamics in squad depth. For example, in the City game, I openly said in the forum, even though Eriksen's been brilliant for us all season, I'd play Fred instead of Eriksen because I think Fred suits that game more. Do I think Fred's a better player than Eriksen? No. But he has different attributes that are important to having in your squad. And I do trust Fred in playing. I mean, I thought against Tottenham, he had a brilliant game. I think under Erik ten Hag, he's developed his role a lot more in the team. You know exactly what he is. He can do a job. And Eriksen's completely different. And Sabitzer, again, is more technical, kind of can play the Eriksen role better than Fred, but if Fred's needed in certain games, Fred's needed. In a final, I think Fred could be good against Newcastle in the last, bringing him off the bench. He's usually good at that, kind of inserting that energy into the midfield. So it's important to have different types of players. Nelly Ussin says, hope you didn't see Mark's team of the season, should be crucified. I've not seen that, but thanks for the super chat anyway. And Adam, did you want to come in on this?
Yeah, it's just what Charlie was talking about there in terms of the what Sabitzer can do, not Fred. We know what Fred can do, but yeah, Sabitzer, and I think what Ten Hag is looking at in this one is the fact that Sabitzer can play on that right-hand side as well. So, for instance, when we've seen Bruno Fernandes predominantly on the right in possession against Manchester City, I see this as against better opposition. Fred, why do I keep saying Fred? Sabitzer can actually move into a more defensive role and actually make the team more solid. He can naturally play on the right and midfield in one, whereas I think Bruno Fernandes, gets lost when he goes out on the right-hand side. So I think Sabitzer being able to play on that right-hand side in defence and attack He's played there just as much for Bayern as he has at right back as he has in right midfield. So for me, I think that's what Erik ten Hag is looking at in terms of the option and the versatility of this player as well, because he can deliver crosses from the right-hand side. He can score goals from the right-hand side, as he has done.
Yeah, I've seen that.
But he can also give you that extra bit of solid defensive work when needed naturally. When you put an attacking player into a position that he's not used to, or a defensive player, into a position he's not used to, you kind of lose that a little bit, but he's adaptable in them positions. And I think that's what Ten Hag is looking at, as well as what he brings in the central midfield role. He's another option for the right-hand side, which we've struggled with, and I think gives us a bit more adaptation in terms of actual formations and systems and different ways to look at better opposition when it comes to bigger games, which we have got a lot of coming up.
Gives Ten Hag definitely a bit more of an option as well. In the Barca game, he could be really
Exactly
utilised
that.
in that. In
That's
that type of
exactly it.
football, I think Sabitzer could definitely work super well. Got some more news coming in. Samuel Luckhurst, who is a very good, reliable journalist regarding Manchester United news, usually comes in when things are very much confirmed, never really goes on the fence about anything, always usually gets it spot on and waits until it has been confirmed. He has said, Manchester United working on a deal to sign Marcel Sabitzer on loan and confident of completion before deadline. It's what we want to hear. I mean, Adam, I'll come to you back on that one. Usually when Luckhurst says United are confident of completion, that means it's going to happen, doesn't it?
Luckhurst wouldn't put his neck on the line unless he was certain. We're probably looking at a situation there where he's been told from within inside the club. We've been working predominantly on the local newspaper here, Manchester Evening News. I think this is looking more and more likely that it's going to happen now. I think more stories are leaking. We're hearing some speculation as well that United are already in. They have representatives in Germany already, which goes back to the story that I was saying before regarding United already knowing about this possibility and already having people in place before Ten Hag even entered the room this morning to talk about in the press conference for the Forest game. So I think that this will happen. There are some rumours floating around. I wouldn't say they're total concrete ones, but United are looking at an option to actually buy the player at the end of the season as well, possibly. And negotiations on that is something that United are exploring in terms of how much that would be. Would it be an option for us to have him next season? And then we could explore other avenues of attacking players and put more money into that. Could United effectively kill two birds with one stone with this deal? Could we have stumbled upon the answer? Ifs, buts and maybes, obviously, and Sabitzer is not a name that any of us were looking at the start of this window or even into the summer. But we've talked about Weghorst obviously being kept on as well. Sabitzer is another one here. Are United finally trying to be savvy in the transfer window? You've got a full-on international who is only behind world-class stars in midfield here in Goretzka and Kimmich. This is no average player. He's a very, very good player who's played at the highest level. Coming all the way through the Red Bull group from Salzburg in Austria into Germany with Leipzig and then on to Bayern Munich. It is a normal path which lots of superstar players take, especially coming up through the Bundesliga. So I think this is good. This is good business for Manchester United. There's nothing set in stone yet. There's nothing confirmed from the club. We're not going to hear any of that, I don't think. But what is happening is all moves and everyone reporting on this is going in the same direction now, which tells you one thing, that bloody hell, Manchester United could be making a transfer deadline signing when we thought all hope was gone.
I woke up this morning and thought, not a chance. I thought, I mean, excited for deadline day, but I thought it'd be other teams that were making the moves. I didn't think it'd be us, but now I'm pretty certain that we are going to get this deal over the line. So I'm excited about it. Make sure you keep getting your comments in down below. I'll read some more out. And we've got Liam Charmer here saying, does this potential transfer impact the summer window? Do we no longer need to pursue De Jong? Maybe we push for McTominay out in the summer. A lot of summer impact. Well, it is only a loan. We don't know if there is going to be an option to buy on it yet. But Charlie, you were speaking about this before. I don't think it impacts going for a midfielder in the summer, do you? It's more of a let's bring him in now because we need an instant replacement kind of thing.
Well, unless there is that purchase option at the end that we're going to exercise, then I don't see it. Does Weghorst coming in stop us from buying a striker next summer?
Absolutely not. I do think Sabitzer's a little bit more experienced at a higher level, I suppose.
No, of course, but like he's just a loan signing that is going to come in and then go. As far as we know right now, if we do have that purchase option, depending on how much it might be, then. And we do utilise that and exercise that when the time comes, then yes, it probably will hinder us going and getting a midfielder. But then again, if we do get him for 25, 30, 35 million, we'd like to say, okay, we've brought in another body, a suitable body. Okay, it's not your Bellingham, it's not your De Jong, Enzo Fernandez, but then we can focus the majority of whatever spend we do have from selling and whatever we generate into going and getting that number 9, Kane, Osimhen, Vlahovic, whoever that may be. So it could be a blessing in disguise, this kind of all of a sudden falling onto our laps kind of, I guess. Yeah,
100%. I actually think that. I don't think this is a deal that we would have gone for if Eriksen didn't get injured, and I don't wish anything bad upon Eriksen because I'm gutted he's out for the rest of the season. I really am, and I don't think he doesn't deserve it. He honestly doesn't. He's been solid for Erik ten Hag. He's played the most games for Erik ten Hag this season. He's been Erik ten Hag's reliable player, and he's kind of he's just his kind of star man in midfield, really. He's, I think, been underrated at times, so I'm gutted that Eriksen is injured, especially with all the exciting games we've got coming up. But I am glad that we've actually gone for a midfielder and increased our depth. And Sabitzer he's got quality. He's not just one of them that's going to come in and sit on the bench the whole season. Like, he actually is going to play, and he's going to bring something to this team, which is it's exciting. It always is exciting to get a new signing like that. We'll be bringing more chats in, but some quick little updates as well coming from Samuel Luckhurst, and this kind of answers the Super Chat's question. Samuel Luckhurst is reporting Marcel Sabitzer has been identified as a short-term option to offset the absence of Christian Eriksen, who is sidelined for 3 months with an ankle injury. Ten Hag wants to permanently sign a young midfielder in the summer and is open to a second pursuit of Frenkie de Jong, who Manchester United agreed an €85 million fee with in the summer. And then he goes on to say again, MUFC have not ruled out another attempt to sign Jude Bellingham 3 years after he opted to join Borussia Dortmund. Bet you regret that, Jude, don't you now? I'm joking, he definitely doesn't. He's developed brilliantly at Dortmund. And do you know what? I think that's exactly what we need to hear. I can get excited about Sabitzer all day long because I do think it's a good deadline day signing, but ultimately, I still want to get a midfielder in the summer. I still think he is a priority signing, a box-to-box midfielder and a striker in the summer, and I think we're going to end up spending big money, and Erik ten Hag's already got his list of players he wants to sell in order to fund them. So Adam, I'll bring you on that. Does that kind of settle you a little bit, that Sabitzer, he might be very good, but it's a short-term thing? Erik ten Hag wants someone young, he wants someone who he can build with in the summer. Is that exciting to you? Who do you think we could actually go for in the summer? Who do you reckon it could be?
Well, it all just comes down to the actual ownership model that comes into Manchester United when the club is finally sold. We've seen what Chelsea are doing right now and the model that they're doing, balancing their books with a future plan of structuring them payments in terms of how much they pay in contracts, how much they pay the actual clubs are buying them off, and then how much they can sell current players for in the future. Manchester United, I think, in terms of midfielders going forward, if he's looking for young, obviously Frenkie de Jong is only 25. He's quick, he's strong, he's creative, he's everything that Manchester United need right now. Just flick back over to you if you have something breaking there.
Yeah, Romano's literally just put out here. So Romano, sorry Adam to cut you off, Romano's just put out now that Marcel Sabitzer has told Manchester United through his agents that he'd be more than happy to join the club and Erik ten Hag's project. Bayern and Man United are in contact now to discuss terms of the deal with just 9 hours left. Sabitzer didn't train today, so on that, Sabitzer wants to come. He wants to join Erik ten Hag's project. Man United and Bayern are in talks right now. There's no mention of Chelsea in there. It's looking very positive. We've got 9 hours left to do this deal. Adam, back to you on that. Back to you on that, Adam.
Yeah, that's it. It's quite clear that Manchester United were talking about this before the day started. It is now. We've had clear word that Manchester United have got representatives in Germany. Sabitzer didn't train this morning. He would have been told beforehand in plenty of time what was happening. His agent has recommended him to Manchester United. So this is an agent doing very good work here as well. And you look at it and you go, Ten Hag's project, Chelsea's project, if it's a short-term deal, where are you going to go as a player? You're going to go to someone who's competing on all fronts. I don't see Chelsea, or they're out of every competition apart from the Champions League. And the Champions League has its draw, but let's be fair, I don't see him going right into Chelsea's team. No. I don't see him fitting straight in there. I think he's going to be a bit part, whereas he goes to Manchester United, you're looking at a player that's going to play possibly 20 games this season with all the competitions United are in.
Ten Hag was a little bit sneaky in his presser, weren't he? He was basically playing it all down, weren't
he?
He
Did.
This was going on behind the scenes. I like it.
He played a blinder, to be honest. Because if you look at him and you look at his face, and like I said, I did a video outside of Carrington talking about how his whole persona was one of defeatist, sort of like he's not getting anyone in. But the club have obviously made moves. They've kept it to themselves. They've kept it quiet, which is a surprise for United. To be around that many journalists this morning and no one have a clue what was going on, which they didn't, because they would have asked the questions. It's good work from Manchester United. In terms of the young player we was talking about earlier on, obviously Frankie de Jong is the perfect midfielder for Manchester United and what he can bring. So is Jude Bellingham. Does Caicedo come into the equation if United win trophies and finish in the Champions League in the summer as well? Arsenal haven't got him. Brighton have stood firm, but I think a few parties come to the table when the summer transfer window opens again for all of these players. I think Chelsea at the moment are moving away from the big midfield signing in the summer. I still wouldn't count Chelsea out of Enzo Fernandez this window now. There's a reason why there's a jet there waiting at Benfica. So I think there is still movement there for that one. But that then opens up Declan Rice in the summer, Caicedo, like I said, Jude Bellingham, Frankie de Jong. There are world-class options for Erik ten Hag to bring in. But one thing I will say is don't be surprised if Sabitzer does end up playing a key part in United's season, that we do not pursue a signing of this player as well. Don't put it past United actually going in for him again. I know short-term is what it is, and it fits well for both club and player right now. But who's to say Ten Hag doesn't get impressed?
Well, with McTominay, the rumours that McTominay might be going in the summer as well to Newcastle, that the rumours are there that McTominay is concerned about game time.
The reported fee is around about 50 million euros for Sabitzer. He'll have 2 years left at the end of this season.
Well, there was talks that Newcastle were willing to pay 30 million for Scott McTominay. I mean, if he does come in and really impress and offers more, then I think he'd be good to improve Man United's depth. At the end of the day, it's good to have depth there. I still think we need another midfielder. I mean, we're talking about before. You look at the likes of Manchester City and the depth that they have, and the top teams do have that depth where they can kind of alternate and they're not kind of threadbare. Sabitzer, if he comes in and impresses, I think there's definitely kind of room there for him to become part of the squad full time. I mean, I think when he comes in, he's going to be playing. He is. Him and Fred are definitely going to be playing in that box-to-box role. McTominay is injured and Erik ten Hag doesn't really seem to like him in that role. He usually comes in for Casemiro only. Fred seems to be the option coming on for Eriksen when that does happen. So, I mean, Sabitzer's got a really good chance here to impress part of, I think, is a really exciting project right now at Manchester United. Be able to play at one of the biggest clubs in the world. That's also, at this moment in time, it's on a trajectory that's just rising and rising, whereas before we were kind of, at the bottom. We were at rock bottom. Now you're going up in this trajectory. Any player's going to want to come in and impress. So, well, I mean, it's good news all around, I think.
If you look at Manchester United as an option for Sabitzer, you go, right, OK, deal's done. What's next? Well, how about a trip to the Nou Camp and Wembley? That's what you're looking at as a player coming into Manchester United right now. Why not in your first half dozen games end up picking a trophy up? That is the appeal of Manchester United right now. And the reason that we are looking at Sabitzer and he is preferring us to Chelsea is because of one man, Mr. Ten Hag. And that's what it's about.
Do you know what, Adam? Ten Hag as well is playing the blind here, because I guarantee you, with working in the Bundesliga, this is of Ten Hag's doing. All the signings have been of Ten Hag's doing. And it's like, what better motivation, by the way, to come in for a player who we need to perform well, to come in and potentially play for a place in Man United's, squad starting 11. That's on an uphill trajectory with Erik ten Hag. And people say, oh, we can go back to Barca, not go back to Barca, go back to Bayern Munich, and Bayern Munich are a brilliant team. Of course they are, but if Nagelsmann doesn't fancy him, he comes in here, plays super well. I mean, I think it's a really kind of good motivation and for this player that we need to come in and perform at a high level. I think Goldbridge might have hacked the stream. Why is Goldbridge so handsome, Charlie? Why is Goldbridge so handsome? A few people in the chat would be able to say, I'm sure. Duncan says, I'll take him as we're desperate, but the Bundesliga players notoriously take a while to settle in the Prem. Excited but cautious. I mean, we have had that before, Charlie. Does that give you any sort of worry?
No. I mean, if you can't judge another player and to another, right? He could come in and look. Realistically, what we need to almost adjust our expectations. What are we going to expect from him coming in? Because we're screaming out for a body, and that is basically what we've got to expect from him. Is just to help us out in that aspect. We can't now expect, because it's Sabitzer, to be getting goals, assists, all this. Yes, it's a great positive if he does bring that. But we've got to adjust our expectations, I think. I have to say as well, I'm by no means whatsoever comparing Sabitzer to De Bruyne at all. I'm really not. But there has been some good players come from the Bundesliga and have performed well. Obviously, there has been some flops, but it happens in every league, I think. It really does. There's some gems, there's some flops. So I wouldn't write him off just because he's from the Bundesliga. And Ewal says, Beth Sabitzer is also two-footed, unlike Fred. I said that before. It's good that he's both-footed, can use both feet. That's signs of a technically good player. And you know what? Fred's looking like a proper left-footed Brazilian at the moment, so don't be too harsh on him. That little back-heeled goal that he did against Reading. I mean, I know it was against Reading, but it was really techie, and Fred's looking better under Ten Hag. So you can applaud both Sabitzer and Fred and be happy that we're going to have both of these in our midfield, which is needed. SK says, Isco deal not done, could be another to look at. No. Personally, for me, I would not be going anywhere near Isco.
He's failed the medical, so it's a bit of a worrying sign. There's something wrong with the medical there, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is worrying. And Tyler says Sabitzer is actually an upgrade on Eriksen, in my opinion. Wouldn't go that far. I've not seen too much of Sabitzer recently. I remember seeing him at Leipzig and thought he looked very, very good with a lot of potential. I've not seen him recently, so I can't comment. All I can say is Eriksen has been running to the ground this season, but he's been crucial for United, I think.
Eriksen has played more games than any other Manchester United player this season, apparently.
I still find that so mental.
It is, isn't it?
Just for the fact that me and Mark having the conversation before he signed about what use we're going to have of him, like whether he's going to be a squad player, whether he's going to play, 10, 20 games throughout a season. He's literally played every single game. Like, it actually baffles me.
Honestly.
Especially with what he went through, when he was playing for Denmark as well, and to come back from that. It is crazy. Fair play to him.
If you actually listen to our friend at Sky Sports, Mr. Paul Merson, he actually says Manchester United are at risk of missing out on top four now.
Oh, give me a break.
Christian Eriksen is not available. He could cost Manchester United top four.
Right.
That's what he thinks are how important he sees Eriksen to United.
If we don't sign Sabitzer, I can get on board with that statement. It could be a very costly situation because Eriksen does do a lot of things that does go unnoticed sometimes. His link-up play is brilliant. I mean, he links the defence to the attack. He's stable in that midfield. He takes up good position. He's positionally aware. His anticipation's great. He kind of grounds Bruno, but Casemiro is the anchor in that midfield as well. And having him and Bruno there is really important. So I think with that, if we didn't bring someone else in, I get where he's coming from. But bringing Sabitzer in, we can get by this season. Erik ten Hag is a very, very good coach. I still think we can get top four. Do you still think that, Charlie?
Yeah.
I think it would be wrong now to say that we shouldn't go and get top four.
Yeah, if we sign Sabitzer, if not, the midfield's loose.
So, I mean, obviously you're saying Merson's comment there saying that almost implying that going and getting Sabitzer is sacrificing top four. So is he saying if we don't go and get him,
this is how Paul Merson works. He doesn't think before he speaks half of the time. And I think what he's saying is like, Sabitzer isn't playing for Bayern Munich. Well, we just mentioned why. It's like what Ricky said. The City's midfield is packed with Foden, with Grealish, with De Bruyne, with Bernardo Silva, with Rodri, with Gundogan. They can't all play. This is what big teams have. They have world-class players, and sometimes they can't all start games. He's started enough games for Bayern, but you've got quality players around. You have to accept at a big club you are going to be on the bench sometimes. And that's what Sabitzer is. He's professional. And that's why he wants to come to Manchester United, because he knows he's moving to a club that he's going to be treated the right way with, not like Chelsea and you don't know what's happening. And Merson's comments, I think he's backtracking a little bit by saying Ericsson could cost United top 4 after he's saying that this is a panic buy. I think he might have just gone on to Google and realised what Sabitzer can bring United, and then maybe put it into reverse and well, it's typical Paul Merson.
Well, at the end of the day, Ericsson's injured. No one can work a magical spell that makes him not injured. So he might say, yeah, Man United's top 4 hopes are off without Ericsson, which I think if he gets Sabitzer in isn't the case. It's a big loss, but it isn't the case. But what does he want us to do? Sit back and sign no one? If we sign no one, then it puts us even more at risk. If we sign Sabitzer on a loan, he doesn't get into Bayern's starting 11, therefore it's a panic buy. If we went and signed Enzo Fernandez for 120 million, United have massively overpaid, it's going to be another overpaying signing. No matter what happens, people always usually chuck some negative comments at it. And do you know what? Don't take notice, I would say, on a lot of things. Just make up your own opinion, watch Sabitzer yourself, read up on him, talk to your friends, read the chat, get involved and make your own opinion, and trust Erik ten Hag ultimately, because I think Erik ten Hag has to give the green light on signings, 100% has to. He is massively involved. He's given the green light on this. He will have seen Sabitzer in the Bundesliga at his previous time at Bayern Munich, and trust Erik ten Hag, because I certainly do, and I think we all do here. And as well, it's like Cancelo's not been playing for City. Is that a bad signing for Bayern Munich? Because he's been on the bench for Man City. Foden doesn't play every game for Man City. Is he a bad player? No, he's a world-class player. I mean, Bernardo Silva, who could be going to Barcelona, doesn't play every game for Man City. He plays a lot, but he don't play every game. Does that mean he's not a good player? I think when you look at top clubs, that's just one of them statements that, for me, just doesn't really have much depth to it, if I'm being honest. But Luke says, hi team, thank you for a great show and your time today. Surely we get Isco too. What do you think?
I'm surprised so many people are actually interested in this guy.
Again, is it failing medicals?
Yeah, a statement from Fabrizio Romano on this one says, we wanted Isco, it's from Union Berlin, official statement says, we wanted to have Isco in Berlin, but we have our limits. These were exceeded today, contrary to previous agreement. So it may not be what some have speculated in terms of the actual medical or anything happening there, but it does look like Isco's people have tried to jig the deal at the last minute to work a little bit more in his favour, and the football club Union Berlin have stood strong and said, no thank you, out you go.
I'm to be honest with you, I don't want Isco. I think it's a few years ago I would have looked at him and thought, yeah, let's try and get him in for a bit of depth. But
there is a reason. If Paul Merson made a comment about Isco and why he's not playing at the moment, that would relate a little bit more. He obviously doesn't know anything about German football, as we already know, like I said before. But Isco is quite clearly one in the public eye that's like, why have you dropped off so much?
Yeah, because he was a talented. He is a talented player, and he was. I mean, in Real Madrid, he was looking good, and for me, it's just not one that we should go for now. Again, how old is Isco now? Is he 30. Like 30? Yeah, Isco's 30 years old, and I'm not an ageist, but a lot of injuries there, kind of plateaued. Just not for me, really. But if you have that opinion that you want him, I don't think it'll happen. I think it will be Sabitzer and only Sabitzer, which people asking me what age is Sabitzer. I've mentioned it a few times, but he is 27, which I think is a great age as well to come in this season. And like Adam said, fresh as well, fresh player, hungry to play games. It looks good. Nick P says, let's just hope Todd isn't waiting to snatch him from the airport in Germany. Want to see him holding the shirt before I believe he hasn't been bullied. I mean, that is one of them things, isn't it? Todd Bowley, he loves it, doesn't he? He loves stealing transfers. He's tried to do it a few times. He's succeeded a few times, so let's hope he doesn't do it this time. But at the moment, coming from all the reliable sources, it is Manchester United. That is what's being reported. And as well, you've got to remember what the player wants is quite important in these situations, especially in a loan move. And Sabitzer wants Man United and Erik ten Hag, so stay positive and back the club. Zayn Miassi, Zayn. Your league leaders, right? And it's deadline day, and you're still coming in to try and have a pop at us. I have to respect it. I respect the hustle. Zayn says you might have Casemiro, but we now have Partey and the Italian Vieira, so we don't rely on one player. Come on, you Gunners. Zayn, look. You tried to go for Mudryk, you ended up with Trossard, who, do you know what, is a good signing. You tried to go to Caicedo, you ended up with Jorginho. Let's see how it works out. But I thought league leaders would maybe have a little bit more pull than that personally, but, you know, it's not ended up happening. you're sitting nicely at the top. You don't need to come and banter us. But you know what? Let's just see how the rest of the season goes. We'll meet you in the Europa League. We'll see what happens. But you know what? I'm happy for you. You're doing well. Thanks again for your super chat. And yeah, let's see what impact Jorginho can have on you. What's a better deadline day signing, Adam? Jorginho for Arsenal or Sabitzer for United?
Well, I would say Sabitzer comes in and impacts straight away. Jorginho will have to wait in the wings. He's more of a cover signing, which is surprising. If I was him, I'd probably, I mean, like we said before off camera, Jorginho going to Arsenal probably gives him a chance of picking up another trophy.
Well, he's jumped 9 places in the league, isn't he?
Yeah, just like that. So for him, that's more of a personal one rather than a promise for Arsenal. Whereas Manchester United, we're loaning in a player that can really impact our team right now, and is more crucial a signing than what Arsenal have with Jorginho. That's where we are with that one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, honestly, the thing is, I actually respect the fact Arsenal had prices that they wanted to pay for these players. They tried to get ripped off and they kind of stuck to their guns and held on it, so I respect that. And you know what, Jorginho, not an exciting signing, but it's a cover signing. It's mad to think Jorginho is probably going to win the Prem, Champions League and the Euros, which is crazy, but he's definitely not exciting. And do you know what, Mudryk looks brilliant for Chelsea, I have to say, but Trossard, again, is a decent player that has looked good for you a few times. So you know what, it's going to be interesting to see United and Arsenal battle it at the top of the Premier League next season.
Hopefully.
If you carry on. But yeah, it'll be interesting. But remember, it took you 3 years to get there, just over. Erik ten Hag's working wonders in 6 months, so it's good stuff to come. Adam, did you have something you wanted to come in on?
Yeah, no, it's just slightly off topic in terms of the ownership of United. Obviously, our friend Simon Jordan quite keen on talking about the ownership models of Premier League football clubs. He had his say on Todd Bowley this morning how Chelsea's structure is working, but he's also had a go at Manchester United, and United fans in particular, are protesting about the Glazers and how it's performance-led. When things are going well on the pitch, you don't hear from protesters. I mean, on that, I would say you don't hear about protests when the Glazers announce that they're selling the football club. I think it's quite clear. But what that does go in line with is what we were talking about earlier, which is Ten Hag and the effect that he's had, and how much of an impact he's had on this whole football club since he's been at Manchester United. Single-handedly, he's turned the team around, which has turned that negative vibe at Manchester United around to a point where we're not seeing protests because we don't need them right now. The fan base is as one, it's in unison with the team, it's connected back with the players again, and I feel like going forward, the new ownership model coming into Manchester United is a concern for everybody. I think everyone's looking at United right now and hoping that we don't do well in this window and that this season collapses. Because if United get Champions League football and we get new ownership in the summer, then it's time for everybody to start worrying in the Premier League again, because that will officially be United back at the top table and with a better financial structure and transfer structure in place. So United, hot topic, even though this isn't supposedly a big deal. So Manchester United all over the news right now.
Exactly. I mean, Sabitzer signing and he's going absolutely massive. That just shows how big we are. And, you know, Sabitzer's a good player. I'm excited. Hit a like in the chat as well. We've got 15,000, just over 15,600 watching us right now, which is brilliant. It's deadline day, so hit a like if you're in the chat as well. Get your comments in down below. I'll read them out. But Sabitzer to Manchester United is imminent. That is the headline. Erik ten Hag is getting a midfielder in on deadline day, we hope. And I think it's imminent now. This deal only needs to be confirmed. Manchester United are in Germany speaking with Bayern, and he's willing to let Sabitzer go, and Sabitzer wants to move to Manchester United. He wants Erik ten Hag's project. So
just on what Sky, in terms of how this deal moved, on Sky now, Ben Ransom, who was at the press conference this morning, was just talking about how this has just escalated very quickly.
Massively.
10 minutes before we got news of, this is Ben Ransom's word, 10 minutes before we got news of Eriksen's injury and how long he's going to be out for before the press conference started, then, like we said, Ten Hag looked a bit downbeat about possibilities. Fast forward 2 hours, Manchester United are in the market and look like we are going to be bringing in a replacement for Christian Eriksen, and one who is very capable as well, like we've discussed. So this is like taking everyone by surprise. It just goes to show, like I said, Manchester United doing things, dare I say it, properly in the transfer market.
Do you know what it is? Credit where credit's due, because I was going in on the board yesterday. I was going in saying it's a disgrace if we don't get a midfielder, and it would have been a disgrace. If this doesn't happen, I'll still be gutted about it. We still should have planned 100%. We should have prepped earlier in the window. It's the same story as summer when we're saying we should have done stuff earlier. But I have to say, if we do get Sabitzer over the line, it's a good signing. I have to say thank you for going out and doing that. And to be honest with you, as much as kind of, I think we should have got more this window, 100%. It would be a good signing. And Erik ten Hag, again, is at the helm of it. He's just transforming this club, and I can't wait to see him under new owners. But SK says, if you heard Pog back for a loan, what do you think? Nope. Just don't want to go over old.
What was that?
Pog back. He said, would you take Pogba back?
Is that a troll?
For a loan?
A troll?
The answer is absolutely not. I don't want to go over old ground.
He's not played a minute all season. Why would he want anyone like that back in the first place?
Well, some people have this kind of weird obsession with Pogba, and he's always a player I wanted to do well at United, but he just didn't work out. So it is what it is. People need to leave that in the past. Daniel Lee said Sabitzer made Werner look good. Perhaps he can do the same with Weghorst too. He did, to be honest. The through balls through to Werner when he was there.
There's no through balls going through to Weghorst, let's be honest with you. He'll get there by the next game.
Yeah,
can't run onto anything, bless him. But
yeah, but we need some good crosses in the box. He can provide that. He's good on set pieces. Mr. JJP says, "Hi guys, I'm a fellow Austrian and I think Sabitzer would be a great signing for us. But please pronounce him Sabitzer and not Sabitzer. You're great, Sabitzer." Sabitzer, is that it?
We will find out when the commentators start saying
Sorry
his
if I'm
name.
mispronouncing his name, but that's just the way I've always said it. I'm sorry. And Nikhil Lada, a member for 28 months. With Isco's move to Union Berlin collapsing, should United move for him to cover Bruno?
No,
We've said no before. We're saying no again. Please stop asking about Isco. All three of us, me, Charlie. Look at what you're doing to Charlie. Look at what you're doing to him. Me, Charlie, and Adam have all said no on Isco. Too injury prone. You know, so many people in the chat are saying Isco, disco. Isco is free. Let's get Isco.
some people are living in like FIFA 15 land. I swear
You're
to
living in
God,
6 years ago. It's like when I said I wouldn't particularly want Royce the other day. People going mental at me. He's 33 and lives on the injury table. It's like, of course I would have wanted Royce in the past, but not anymore. And James Clough says, this could be the final signing of the Glazer era. Great show,
Thank
guys.
God.
Smashing it. Get Mark back on the beers tonight. Legend. Thank you for your super chat. That show when Mark was drunk, I think it was the other night. I was seeing clips of it. Not always. It's a one-off situation. But thank you everyone for your super chats. Really appreciate it, and everybody watching is as well. And a bit of a negative chat in here. Rizza TV, member for 8 months, says, I'm Austrian and Sabitzer isn't good enough. Everyone...
What is being Austrian? I know obviously Sabitzer's Austrian, but why does
that make
someone
you more
being Austrian
qualified?
then go, oh, he's not good enough?
Well, that's like me saying I'm English, and I would say that Jude Bellingham isn't going to Real Madrid.
Well, in terms of being Austrian and looking at Sabitzer from that angle, is it not the same as like looking at Harry Maguire and saying he is good enough because he plays well in an England shirt?
Yeah.
Is he meaning his international football rather than his club football? Because Bayern Munich would not have him in their ranks if he wasn't a good player.
I'd imagine, I'm in total honesty, I can't name many Austrian players, but...
We've got a good super chat in, a positive one. People get positive about it. Scythe, we've got a lot of Austrians in the chat. Scythe says, United and Leipzig supporter here. Sabitzer is a hybrid between Fred and Eriksen. He's a great addition and I'm very excited. That's good to hear, isn't it? Especially someone who's watching Leipzig on the regular, which I don't think any of us watch them completely regularly. And Slow Sports News says, what's our options? Sabitzer isn't a bad option or a loanee option for Pogba again. No, Adam, just kind of say your piece on shutting the Pogba option down, because it's not going to happen, but people just seem to keep wanting to talk about it.
No, it's stop trolling. Paul Pogba is not coming back to Manchester United.
I feel like there's this almost romance that people make up in their head, isn't there, with Pogba, that people just think that he'd, what's the word, cook, isn't it? Oh, let him cook.
Let him cook under Erik ten Hag. He's not cooked in the last, I don't know,
He probably's been doing
years.
lots of cooking in the kitchen when he's injured. He's not cooking anything on the pitch, is he?
No.
He's not playing football. So
He's not played in nearly a year now, I swear it has been. And do you know what? He was always a player with so much talent, always a player I wanted to do well. But he had some good moments, but it just never worked out. A lot of people say no Isco, no party, which, come on guys, we're not in 2015. And someone says best accent. When I keep talking, it does kind of get more broad, but I'm not onto Adam's level yet. But speaking of Adam, he wants to come in.
It's a bit harsh, isn't it? It's a little bit harsh on the old accent front. Anyway, not going to start talking about Donny or anything like that, are we?
Donny van de Beek.
Well, we're not talking about Donny this window because he is obviously poleaxed. He's out for the rest of the season. But there is breaking news coming from United. That is that another one of our promising youngsters is going out on loan. Dijon Bernard is on his way to Portsmouth. As well as obviously Charlie McNeil, who moved. Charlie Savage has moved this window as well. So a lot of the under-21 team going out on loan. I think this is definitely a ploy by Erik ten Hag. When we spoke with Mark Dempsey earlier on in the season when we went to watch a under-21s game, there is a consistent dialogue between the under-21s coach, the under-18s coach and Erik ten Hag. He's in complete control. And obviously, we've seen Charlie McNeil all season. We've seen Charlie Savage on tour and this season as well. I think Ten Hag is making the right moves through the club again, like we said, in getting some of these players out on loan at a competitive level. Interesting to see that we've got players spread across the Championship, League One and League Two now from our youth academy. Kind of shows exactly where our team is at as development. So, and obviously we've got the likes of Mainu and Zidane Iqbal still within the first team squad as well. But yes, Dijon Bernard has moved on, joining Charlie McNeil and Charlie Savage, who have moved on also this window from the under-21s.
Yeah, I'll bring you on this actually, Charlie. One thing I did want to speak about is, I mean, the impact Erik ten Hag's making is just absolutely wonderful. I mean, me and Adam seen him at under-21 games in his spare time, going and watching the games, the under-23s, and going watching them and taking Van der Gaag with him. He's got full control, as Adam says, of the youth team. He's always in contact with the manager, and he's always looking at the youth players coming through. We know he did this at Ajax, but can you remember last time we had really any successful loans? When you look at the likes of what Ahmad's doing now at Sunderland after that loan spell, which was obviously happened under when Erik ten Hag's been here. Erik ten Hag's been getting players out on loan. It seems to be a big thing under him. This never usually happened beforehand. And you know what happens when that happens is you either do well and they come back into the squad, or you end up getting a fee for them because they're playing football and they're being shown to the world at a level that teams can come in and actually pay a fee for them, and you're making money from your academy, which there's nothing wrong with that. Not every player is going to make it, but you can definitely still make money. But are you impressed with the way Erik ten Hag's handling the youth team? Yeah,
it's good to see, and it's what is something that I think is quite pivotal. I think that the manager of the first team should have some influence on the younger teams, because when the young ones do get that step up, or if they do, they should then automatically know the style of play and everything like that. So therefore, like, going and watching the games and almost having that structure there is brilliant to see. I mean, I can't off the top of my head. I mean, I'm sure there has been some, and someone in the comments will probably let me know, but I can't think of someone that's come in that we've purposely brought young, or a young player that's come through the academy that we've loaned out that has then stayed at the club for a long period of time. And again, like you say, bringing back Diallo next season. I mean, I'm sure he will be utilised, but even if he isn't, we'd still be able to, especially after the season he's had at Sunderland so far, we'd still be able to get a significant amount of money for him. So it's hopefully a win-win either way. Well,
that's what I mean. We're going to have players in the Championship now. We've got players in League One. We've even got a player in Charlie McNeil in League Two. So, and you know what? These are really physical leagues that test you as a player. And they're going to be battered from pillar to post. They're going to be shoved around. They're going to get hard tackles put on them. And they're going to really develop, and they're going to either make it and come out stronger, or they'll find their level and they'll go to somewhere else. And I think it's really important that Erik ten Hag is giving these players these challenges. He's saying, look, go out on loan, show us what you can do, get some experience, and then come back and we'll assess the situation. I think it's a perfect way to handle these players. I'll come to you in a second, Adam. Just going to read a couple super chats out. Matty Ross says, would have liked to have seen Gravenberch coming in. Yeah, Gravenberch was one that we definitely wanted 100%, but it's Bayern Munich said no at the end of the day. There's nothing really more you can do on that. He's only just gone there. You can understand why they want to keep him. Karun Newfail says, do you need a butler for the United Stand studio? We already have one. Just in there. He's actually not on duty today. He's doing multiple things at once, but usually we do have one. But thanks for your super chat. And John Davey says Pog no. Hashtag Pog no. Yeah, it's not going to happen. We don't even need to discuss it. And Bowie Ling Nang said, welcome to the United Stand Members Club. Desmond Short, Pogba's wages would be too expensive for the Glazers anyway, plus I don't want him anyway. Why is there so much talk about Pogba? Adam's losing his head. The Tank says, Sabitzer to take the number 7 shirt as he did at Leipzig, ? I doubt they'll give him the 7 shirt straight off the bat as a loanee signing. That 7 shirt's really going to be really important, and I don't think there's any rush to really give it away. I think we should keep it, and whoever earns that shirt should get it. Whether Sancho comes back in, works tremendously hard and ends up earning that shirt, potentially Garnacho eventually in the future could earn that shirt, but right now it's best just to keep it where it is, which is not have a name on it, I think, personally.
I'll tell you one thing to watch with that number 7 shirt, actually.
Just
my own thoughts. My thoughts are my own. My opinions are my own. Just be careful of that contract extension for Marcus Rashford.
What do you mean?
With that number 7 shirt.
Do you think he'll get the 7?
He is Manchester United, and there is a big sweetener there, isn't there?
Yeah, but he's always been number 10.
He doesn't suit number 10 though, does he?
It's not. He's on the wing.
10's a traditional number 10 playmaker.
Just my thought. Just my thought on it. But I know the way this football club works, and
yeah, loads of people in the chat are saying Rashi 7, Garnacho 7, Rashford 7. I think Sancho should get that shirt if he comes good.
He's got a lot of work to do to get that 7 shirt, and he has an awful lot of work to do.
You've got to be at the top of your game. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Rashford did get it, but at the same time, I've always known him as number 10. So get in the chat what you guys think. And the producer just said in my ear, Sancho could potentially maybe get the 11, depending on what happens with a certain somebody. But that shirt is cursed. I don't want anyone having the 11.
Sancho wears 25, right?
Yeah, that is 2 plus 7.
5, yeah, 2 plus 5 is 7. Yeah, it's the same reason Weghorst is 27, right? 2 plus 7 is 9. But no, I think I do. If there's anyone that's going to wear the 7, and I think everyone that's come in and wore the 7 really hasn't done that well, have they? Obviously after Ronaldo. And then Ronaldo came back and did well in the first season, and then whatever happened. And look, Rashford's going to be at the club for, you'd like to say, touch wood, a long, long time. So having him as the 7, you know, it does go hand in hand. He's the star boy of the club.
Harry Kane.
The best. He's the best. No, if Harry Kane was to come, he ain't getting number 7.
Well, if Harry Kane came, he'd get the 10, and Rashford would get the 7.
Nah, he'd get 9. He'd be. He's 10. He's 10 at
Spurs.
But I reckon he'd get 10 or 9. Yeah.
We've set up a whole different conversation here.
Well,
right
can I just say, I think because Rashford and Sancho are friends, I don't know if Rashford would want to do that. Like, they're very good friends. Take the 7.
Bollocks to Sancho. I'm taking that 7 shirt. Are you mad?
No, I'm not having that.
How good mates are.
Yeah, but he spoke about it being Rooney's shirt in the past. He loves Wayne Rooney. 10.
He has talked about that.
Anyway, this isn't transfers really. Good super chat. It sparked some discussion on that. Billy Smith, Madrid, Luka Modric loan rumour. Rumour coming from where? Because I haven't heard a thing about that. A lot of people saying Mbappe 7. With new owners, you never know.
Have the Wivenshaw Mbappe.
Someone said, I really like Osimhen 7, Maguire for number 7. Could you imagine? It won't be happening. But yeah, thank you guys for your chats. And Rob Hatherley says, hello, United Stand team. Is there anything more on Maguire to Inter Milan? I haven't seen anything since yesterday. Sabitzer would be really good for us, I think. Adam, if you want to take the Maguire news away?
On the Maguire one, the talk is that he is going to be in the summer. If any move comes, there's not a chance that Harry Maguire leaves Manchester United in January. That's not happening. And it does look like that one will be in the summer. Also, some news on our rivals. There's been a few rumours going around regarding Bernardo Silva at Manchester City. That has been confirmed by James Ducker, who does cover Manchester City from the Telegraph, that will not be happening. They've also had inquiries on Calvin Phillips, on a loan move going out as well. We all seen the shock departure, well, some would say shock, some would say not so, on Cancelo. He's gone to Bayern Munich as well, but no, Chelsea still waiting for Enzo, still waiting for something to break there. Arsenal, we know, I think their deals are done now with the signing of Jorginho. It's just down to Manchester United and Chelsea now, I think, are the biggest movers and shakers left. I think Newcastle's business is also done with the signing of Gordon. And Liverpool, well, let's just laugh and then move on because they haven't got any more. Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite me on the arse later on this season. But that's where we're at with everybody else right now. It does look like hot topic is Manchester United and Chelsea in the midfield area.
I do think Chelsea will do something before the window closes. Like you said, the Enzo story isn't going away. If they manage to pull that off, and that's just ridiculous, but we'll have to see. Simon Gale says, I thought Weghorst was 27 because he's 3 times better than Haaland. Good joke. Good joke there. And we had another one. Let me see if I can find it quickly. Oh, I can't find it. I'll come back to it when I find it. But thank you guys for your super chats. Obviously, really appreciated. And yeah, hit the likes on for Sabitzer. I think he will be coming to Man United. I think it is imminent. But like Adam said, just with his little roundup, then you look at our rivals around us. City haven't really done much when you look at the outgoings. There's rumours that Gerard Romero was reporting that Bernardo Silva wants to leave and go to Barcelona, but that's been a recurring rumour for quite a while. I don't think that will happen.
When he said Frankie de Jong was coming to Manchester United, remember that?
I don't think that will happen. I think Gerard Romero often puts news out there. If it happens, it's a bonus. If it doesn't happen, he just ignores he ever put it out there, to be honest with you.
So, he's fishing.
I wouldn't 100% trust that one. But yeah, Anthony Gordon to Newcastle. How do you rate that signing? He's one of them. It's like, I don't think any of the top 6 teams, apart from Chelsea, have impressed me with what they've done this window. Like, you look at Liverpool, Gakpo, they needed to go to a midfielder. I heard reports coming out yesterday that the transfer strategy changed when Klopp convinced the board that they need to go for someone who can press from the front that would help the midfield the way Gakpo did. Gakpo, I think, still has time, and I think he will come good, but they needed a midfielder. He's not too impressive. Pedro Porro and Danjuma for Spurs, decent signings, but again, I think they needed more. Chelsea have just gone on an absolute madness, and if they get Enzo, it'll be crazy.
I just think what Chelsea have done is almost unprecedented, and they've set the bar. You know, like that probably will never happen again in a January transfer window, like what they've been able to do. So I actually think that Tottenham's signing of Pedro Porro is a huge upgrade. You look at who have they got? Emerson Royale is crap. Yeah. Is utter dross.
He is, honestly.
You've got, like him, Charlie, no.
Doherty's just left and he's rubbish as well.
Spence should be so annoyed at Conte that he's actually been benched over Emerson Royale.
Yeah, so I think Pedro Porro coming in is going to be a big signing for them. And they've also just got Danjuma, someone to rotate with Son, Kulusevski. So yeah,
Which they needed, by the way. They needed something fresh in there.
But they you'd almost want another midfielder, but then they usually only play like 2 in midfield, don't they?
I think they need a centre back.
I don't know.
Romero's
it's
good,
weird.
but I mean, Dyer's been decent. Ben Davies is a liability in my opinion. It's just. Honestly, this is why I want to move on to you, Adam. With this Sabitzer signing, which again, I will repeat, is imminent and looks like it is going to happen. Luckhurst has been saying out there, Man United think that they can get this deal done by the end of deadline day. With this deal, how do you see top 4, especially when looking at other clubs around us and what they've done? Because even Chelsea would worry me, but they are in 10th at the end of the day. And all the other clubs, I think they've bought decent signings, but it's nothing that's scaring me, really.
No, I think the ones you have to look at really are the ones that are already in the top 4. Manchester City's big news was them losing Cancelo, but their strength in depth is quite clear and is miles better than anyone else who's in the league. Obviously, Arsenal have strengthened, I think, with experience and Premier League experience, simply because they are fighting for one trophy now in the Premier League, the biggest one. So I can see total sense in what they've done. Jorginho will obviously just be back up to Partey, but Partey's injury concerns get put aside. Jorginho's decent enough to come in for me. You look at Newcastle. Newcastle, I think, are the ones there that they've sort of solidified with their signings. I don't rate Gordon as a player from what I've seen. He's young and could come better under the clearer blue skies that is St James's Park than the dark, stormy clouds of Goodison Park at Everton. So maybe a different vibe will bring out the best in Gordon. You don't know. He's enthusiastic and passionate. Maybe that's something that the Geordie fans will take to even more. But them in their position, how strong their defence is, and now adding another attacking option to that team as well. I think Newcastle, I think Manchester United, in bringing in the extra midfielder and the forward for minimal costs and getting rid of Cristiano Ronaldo, I think we're up there. I think in terms of business, City didn't need to do anything. Arsenal did and got their players. United just about, by the looks of it. Newcastle solidifying. I think the window goes off who's actually in the top 4 right now. I think Chelsea, there's no structure to that. I don't know how many of them signings are going to be Potter's. It's a big job for him now, but it adds pressure to Potter in terms of what he has to produce with that much money being spent. This is a record January transfer window, let's not forget. And most of the transfer window spending has been done by Chelsea. A big portion of it is just them. So there's massive pressure on blending that team for Potter right now. And yeah, they've got a chance because they've only got the Champions League and the Premier League to fight for now. I think he's been given the opportunity and he's been given everything to prove himself, but how far behind are they? Can they make that gap up?
Yeah, I just think it's, with that, I don't think it's a collaborative effort from the manager and the owner. I think it's Todd Bowley kind of going out and trying to show some ambition and getting some signings over the line and probably really enjoying the role that he's doing at the moment and enjoying playing football manager a little bit. You see that in him, and I can't fault the ambition. Mudrik's a great signing, Felix is a good signing, I think. I know he got that ban. They've signed some other good players. Badashil, I think, is a good signing. If they get Enzo over the line, it's a brilliant sign. It's massively overpaying, but they've overpaid for nearly everybody. They overpaid for Mudrik and stuff like that. But again, young players in Fofana coming in, they look like they have got a good squad when you look at like the depth of it, but ultimately I think it's too early in the transition to cause any threat to United right now. Did you want to come in on something, Adam?
Yeah, it's just another update on Enzo Fernandez for Chelsea, and there's no breakthrough yet in Fernandez talks. Benfica are playing hardball, but Chelsea are not going away. Chelsea and Benfica remain in talks for Enzo Fernandez for the World Cup winner to join Chelsea, but for the last few hours, no breakthrough. That's coming directly from Sky Sports, updating on that one.
Also got another update here when you're looking at Chelsea as well, and Conor Gallagher, it's been reported now from David Ornstein, is staying at Chelsea. Chelsea don't want another loan and permanent offers well below evaluation. Barring late twist, the 22-year-old will be at Stamford Bridge until at least the summer, an important part of youth development. That to me as well is also kind of reassuring that they have options in midfield if you don't get the Enzo deal over the line, which I think is a wise move.
Hedging the bets a little bit now.
Yeah, it's a wise move from Chelsea, and it also makes me think that this deal might collapse, you know. I know Conor Gallagher and Enzo, you don't really compare them to players, but at the end of the day, they need depth, Chelsea. I do actually think there's a player in Conor Gallagher, despite what people think.
I mean, don't forget, in terms of this deal for Benfica, there is a large portion, I think, is it, who was his previous club, was it River Plate?
River Plate, yeah.
I think they get 25% of what is actually.
Do you know, River Plate have sold some good players over the years.
They've done amazing business out of it. So Benfica are obviously standing firm. They know that they're not getting the whole fee for Enzo Fernandez. So I think Benfica are definitely keeping their end up in terms of like making sure they get the best out of this deal as well.
They're in the Champions League too.
What doesn't make sense to me is he has a €120 million release clause, right? And Chelsea are offering, I think, more than that, but not all in one go, over like 6 instalments. So, okay, like the only reason to turn that down is because you're not getting it all in one go, because no one's going to pay more than that, right? Mm-hmm. No one's going to pay more than what his release clause is. So surely you're not going to get more money from him in the summer. The only thing is, yes, you keep him for that extra, 4 or 5 months, but they're going to lose him at some point, right?
Yeah.
Because whether you think it's overpaying or not, he has that release clause in place. If Chelsea don't get him now, I'm sure that something will be agreed for the summer. If not Chelsea, then it will be a Madrid, United, City, you know, someone will come in for him.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's very strong of Benfica not to accept that. You'd be tempted to accept 120 million for sure, but again, they're in a strong position in the Champions League as well, you know, and that they could be looking at that. They've got a decent team there, and Enzo Fernandez could be an important part of that, and they want. I think they can push Chelsea even further as well, which I like clubs standing the ground. Brighton have done it with Caicedo as well. I don't think Caicedo right now in this moment of time is worth 70 million. I think he will be worth that at some point. I think there's a massive potential of the player there.
Well, that's probably what he's worth to Brighton at that moment in time.
At this moment in time, and they've stayed strong on it, and I respect that from both irrespective clubs.
There's no guarantee, is there? We all said Yves Bissouma was the best player at Brighton, but he can't get us a permanent spot in the Chelsea team right now, so
Spurs.
There you go.
Spurs team. And Jordan, I remember Jordan coming for me every week for saying, I used to say, Bissouma's not good enough, he doesn't have the attacking threat that you need, that all central defenders for a top club has. He's not got the experience that's needed. He's a good player, but he's not going to come in and start central defensive midfield for Man United. And every week I got pelters, I got Jordan telling me, no, he's the right guy, he's the right guy. If he was the right guy, I'd be starting at Chelsea, not at Chelsea, he'd be starting at Spurs, because that Spurs team is not very good. It's below average, and that was me kind of choosing my words wisely there. But a few more super chats before we wrap up the show. Glenny Boy says, when Jones leaves at the end of the season, do you think he will take the number 4 with him and hold it hostage? Wouldn't surprise me. And that is the super chats. Thank you, guys. And a few chats coming in saying, are we going to get Sabitzer or not? So let me just kind of round up what has been said at this moment in time. Romano has reported that Sabitzer wants Manchester United. He wants to be part of Erik ten Hag's project. He didn't train today, and United and Bayern Munich are in talks right now to get this deal done over the line within the next 9 hours up to the deadline, and they are working hard to make sure that happens. Luckhurst just come in on that and said Manchester United are confident they will be able to get this loan deal over the line. As we know right now, there's not an option to buy, but that could develop. And at the moment, United are purely working on getting the Sabitzer deal done. Sabitzer prefers United over Chelsea. Chelsea are focusing on other targets. And I think we've just got to wait and see what is going to happen on this one. But we've obviously got more shows coming up. And if this does happen, which I'm going to put my neck on the line, I'm going to say I think it is going to, I think we've all got to celebrate that and be thankful that we have got a replacement in for Christian Eriksen, who has been super important for Erik ten Hag this season. And again, put some respect on Erik ten Hag's name. He's clearly pushed for this signing. It's clearly coming from him, and I'm happy he's getting it because he deserved more this window, but he needs at least something. We're fighting on all fronts in 4 competitions. We've got a cup to go and win. We've got the Europa League to go and beat Barcelona in. He needs some depth. But before we round up the show, I'll come to Charlie first. Sabitzer, do you think it's going to happen? Are you happy about it?
I'm not disappointed about it. I think it's, as I mentioned earlier on, I think it's a positive signing in comparison to what I was expecting. I mean, look, we had a conversation earlier on that we didn't think anything was going to happen. We were pretty certain on that. So for something then to happen, or look like it's going to happen, and to be a player of the calibre of Sabitzer, then, yeah, it's positive. I just hope he hits the ground running if he does come in. And, yeah, I do think it will happen. It's just a matter of time, I think.
Yeah, and everyone get excited though. If he signs, you know there's going to be a Sabitzer scout report or breakdown video coming from Charlie, so get excited about that. Adam, your show's coming up shortly, literally in just half an hour, but I'm sure you might discuss it a little bit on there. But Sabitzer, are you happy about it? Are you excited? Do you think it'll happen?
I think it will. The only thing I see happening to scupper this deal now is Chelsea coming in and offering money to Bayern if Enzo Fernandez breaks down. I could see Chelsea doing something like that, and Bayern being swayed by the pound notes rather than the possibility of pound notes in the summer, or over a loan deal that United are offering. So yeah, I still think United hold the card. The fact that Chelsea are deep in negotiations with Enzo Fernandez helps United out, and I think we can push hard on Sabitzer and get this deal done before Chelsea even come to the table. Now, the fact that we know that representatives are in Germany talking, I think we're good to go on this one.
I actually, just speaking about Enzo Fernandez coming in right now from Fabrizio Romano, discussions are still ongoing between Chelsea and Benfica for Enzo Fernandez. The deal has not collapsed as things stand. Chelsea are still trying one to follow in the next hours. like we just were talking about, Adam, now's the time for United to strike and get this deal done while they're focusing on getting Enzo done.
That's
100%.
exactly it. This is where United need to act, and he could take advantage of the situation. We've not done it many a times before in the past. We've been found wanting on many a transfer window. This is a deal that Manchester United need to make happen, like you said, for Erik ten Hag and what work he's put in. Back the manager, and the success will come with. I do believe that he trusts in the signing, and he's a player that fits into his philosophy and how United are going to play for the rest of this season. So, yep, all full steam ahead. Marcel Sabitzer, hopefully Manchester United get this done, and we can actually move on with the rest of the season and concentrate on what's going on the pitch.
Exactly. And thank you everyone as well for watching this transfer live. We've had over 15,000 in the chat the whole way through, which we really appreciate. So make sure you subscribe as well and get in the comments, get your thoughts in, like the video, all of that stuff. But we have been joined by Adam, who has been brilliant bringing us updates, and he's got his show coming at 4 p.m. Adam Talks with Faz. We'll be here at 4 p.m. discussing all things transfers and the week ahead for Manchester United. We've also had Charlie on the show. Thanks for the input, Charlie. And yeah, let's hopefully the deadline day continues positive. We get this signing over the line. And thank you everyone in the chat as well for joining us. It's great to hear your comments, and it's good to bounce off each other and get excited about United actually bringing in a signing on deadline day. And it's not an Igalo type signing. It's actually someone you can kind of get a little bit excited at. Also, Mark will be live if Sabitzer signs, or should I say when Sabitzer signs. So get your notifications on and look out for that. And they will be an evening deadline day live with Mark Goldbridge later on this evening. So subscribe, get the notifications on. Basically, just get a brew, get some snacks, and just sit in front of the TV or laptop, phone, watch YouTube, watch the United Stand, and get your deadline day content. It's always an exciting time. But thanks everyone for watching with us, and we'll see you shortly.